we feel these are two different things, but they are all working towards achieving one single objective. And they are at parallel. And we need to bring them what? Together. That is why we now give it alignments. We need to align the two. Both the democratic and the policy document. These are frameworks that the state government or government use in actualizing their what? Their aspirations. But you know how it is. When two parallel things are moving, possibly there may be point of convergence, but it will take long time. Go? But what of if at the inception of the journey, you have now aligned them, they start not parallel, they start at one point. Kaga ba za a samu matsala ba ko? So already what we are thinking of is how can we integrate this into state policy document? Because this is more broad than the demographic dividend. And I would have expected someone to ask, why are we doing this? Why do we need to align this, the two strategic documents? Because both of them are strategic documents. Because they have their parts, their pathways, they have their objective. So they can be called strategic documents. So why are we so keen to say we must align these two strategic documents? Who can help? Who can help? Why do we need to align them? Okay.
Yes, I think the reason why we need to align them, since we said already they are parallel, now we want to bring them so that they can work together to achieve the same goal.
That is one reason. Then, can I, good. None of the two can work independently. Go. Aha. Next, any contribution? Bro, can you try?
Yes.
Talk now.
What exactly?
So you see, there are many reasons to, there are many rationale to the alignment. You have mentioned some alignment, and then we will now go to where we will now look at the rationale or importance of aligning both the two strategic document. Ko? So, wannan abun fa ya fara. Eh? So, who can read? I say I'm leading. Yes. Yes.
So the concept of strategic alignment requires the modern integration of policies.
Me yasa yake haka ne? Aha.
Okay, integration of policies. Both
To kwa canza system ne, ko ku buɗe naki? Code ne? Okay.
achieve desired outcomes for governance and development.
Okay. It's all right. So you see, in any way, whenever you see a bold word, we are emphasizing is an emphasis. Go. So the essence, well, is a coherent. Wannan ko mu cire shi ne, because I don't want to be speaking. At least let them be seeing what is the. Kamar ya shiga wani mode ne fa kai. Okay. Okay, ai sama. Okay, we are talking about coherent integration. So there are a number of things that we need to factor in when we want to do a coherent integration. So we'll be looking at both the strategic document so that we make sure that we have coherently integrated the two. And why I have said this is that if you look at the state policy document, let's take an example of the state policy document. For instance, the state development plan and the DD roadmap. There are some will be similarities and differences. We are not saying we must take everything verbatim as it is, but what we are focusing on is what is the goals and the objective of the two strategic documents must be in the what in the integrated what policy documents. We are not saying everything that is DD must be brought into the integrated. No, it is a careful integration. We look at what is the objective or the strategic objective of the other document alongside with this. Then we now combine them together to have one central objective or goal. So you see, there are a number of things. It's a whole lot of work because it's not something that you just sit down and start copying. No, you need to study, you need to review, you need to understand both the two documents and know exactly what is their focus. If you don't know this, you cannot coherently integrate the two policy documents. So this is key. This is important. We need to review, you understand, and be able to know what is the developmental objective of the two strategic documents, or else you cannot be able to integrate. So for us to do this now, we know state development plan very well. What we need to consciously do is to study the DD roadmap and see what element. I'm quite sure that a number of things in the DD are already in the state development plan. But there are some silent issues, silent initiatives in the DD roadmap that are not in the state development plan. And those are our concern, those are our interests. We want to bring them into the what? Into the state development plan. Why do we want to bring them? Why? No, why do we want to bring? I made mention of silent initiative in the DD that need to be brought into the STP. And then I asked, why do we bring them into the STP? Uh-huh. Aside that, there is another reason. Uh-huh. It will be part and parcel of the plan of the state. And knowing fully the state development plan is the overarching framework that drives what? The expenditure through budget preparation. Ko ba haka ba? If it is left, because you cannot hold budget, DD roadmap to say, I will only concentrate on DD to do my budget. You understand? But by the time you align, you integrated all those things in the DD into the state development plan, you are both dealing with the two strategic document indirectly. And nobody would now penalize you to say, common SDP, I'm only DD go. So that is the beauty of it. Na farko shine at least zai zama basis da za a yi what? Za mu yi developing din budget din. And by developing budget, that is why we are what? We have commenced implementation of initiative in both the DD and in what? In the state development plan. Go. So in the context of the state, Kaduna State, strategic alignment is particularly pertinent as it seeks to ensure various initiatives. I have mentioned this. There are various initiatives on both of the strategic document go align with the broad objective of economic growth, social and environmental sustainability. And if you look at broad objective of the DT, it's talking about economic, it's also talking about social equity, because when we are doing the structure, demographic structure, we are trying to see the different layers of demography. Ko? Akwai ƙananan, akwai tsohi, akwai wa, and each and every structure requires a different approach, a different reform intervention, as well as environmental sustainability. Next slide. So, strategic document, you have defined it, but let me also just read what I have on the slide. Strategic document refers to the policy, plan and policy that outline a roadmap for growth and development. In any way where you have a strategic plan or policy, it is a must you need to outline, is there any element of growth and development? Because that is the focus of what? Of the government. Kowane is, if you didn't see it, it is you that you are not be able to what? To identify or interpret some initiative that will translate into what? Into growth and what? Development. Go? And it aims at what? Enhancing living standard. Duk abin da ake yi, whatever youth are doing, education, health, security, they are all toward what? Enhancing living standard, directly or indirectly. So these are the key things that any policy document or strategy document you pick, you need to identify this, and also are they aimed at improving living standard. In the one there is no, I don't think we can, it will be named strategy as far as government is concerned. It could be a private sector, but when we are talking of public sector, government, so it must translate to this scope. So I have started an example of this document, strategic document. For us, we have SDP, we have SIP, and we also have couple of sector policies. Health sector suna da shi, education sector suna da shi, ban sani ba finance ma suna da shi, I don't know. Finance, do you have? You understand? No, I'm serious. I'm only mentioning the ones I know they have. So all of this, they should be what? Containing all these things we have discussed. In the context of the health, it will be growth and development of what? Of the health sector. Go? In education, it will be growth and development of education, which cumulatively go, will now translate to what? To this. Go? Next slide. Before today, madam, yeah, do you have you seen any strategic document? Do you have strategic document in your ministry? Have you had? Me, my attention is for them because soon as because all others na gyara. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Very good. Okay. Are you the only one from the two? Okay. So I don't need to waste my time because the earlier presentation took care of this. Go back away. So next slide. Usman, next slide. So these are the importance of the alignment. That is why I have attempted to ask you, and some have mentioned some of these bullet points that I outlined in the presentation. The first one, enhance. Who read? So if we have not made attempt to bring them together, this will not be achieved. Because bringing them together, we see some of the initiatives that are similar, we put them together. Those that are not similar, we keep them aside. But if we have been parallel implementing the two strategic document parallel, we may not coherently bring this strategic initiative together. And that may lead to what? Duplication, waste of resources, you understand, because we will concurrently implementing number of initiatives that are not necessary for us to deliver on certain developmental goals. Facilitate optimal resource allocation. How can that facilitate optimal resource allocation? How? Selecting the right initiative. Because if you are comparing two, and this A say hanya, B say hanya, that translates that that initiative is a priority. Because these documents are prepared independently. The processes are different, but at the end of the day, unanimously, they have agreed that hanya for the same problem. Then that means it is a what? It is priority. Is that understood? Then it promotes stakeholder engagement and collaborative effort in the implementation. If this line are the only one for DD, this one are the only line for SDP, to the beginning and end of the implementation, they will never come together to sit. But when these things are integrated or they are aligned together, both stakeholders will now what? Come together. Learning will take place. Go. The team will further expand. A lot of expertise will now bring into the implementation of this reform initiative. Go. It also ensures alignment with national policies. By the time you bring them together, we'll try, because the SDP always mirror what? The national. But it may not be necessarily the DD that will be implementing practically. We'll be looking at what DD initiative is done at the national level. But as far as Kaduna State is concerned, whatever we are doing, the SDP aligns with what? National Development Plan. Go? So, these are some insights. These are the key points on this, and these are some insights. Do you agree that when we align strategy, we maximize overall development impact? Okay, how? How do we maximize the overall developmental impact? How? Yeah, no, anyone can talk. Yes. Uh-huh. Okay, any other? Yeah. So the same example we make in Hanya, the next bad example. The two strategic documents are saying road. Oh? So if you have not combined, maybe there is a fund scarcity. We may end up doing only one. Go? But by the time we align, we combine, we do both, and then we have satisfied the need of both strategic documents. I don't know whether you understand this example or we change another one. Because what we are talking is maximizing the overall impact. We know that the two strategic documents are yearning for hanya go. So if we have combined it and done the hanya for all the strategic documents, it will now what? The impact will be felt for both the two good heads. Two good they are better, not always the two heads. So I think, and then so Documented alignment is fair confidence in stakeholders. Do you agree on this? How? Where is the confidence? How is the confidence coming in on this? Okay, because everything has been documented. We can go back, we can reflect on it anytime, anywhere. Go. Then poor alignment, proper alignment uh, identifies and mitigates potential risks. Okay, who can provide further clarity on this? Proper alignment. When we properly align, meaning to say that all the desired initiative in both the strategic document are carefully aligned in one single strategic document. And they are saying it will now mitigate potential risk. Good. Any further before I have another? Yeah. Oh,
I would like to use.
yes.
I like practice.
Uh-huh.
If you have and you have proper alignment, you can build straight line for me
Yes.
without getting. But once you don't have proper alignment, straight line is terrible.
You either going right or left.
It says that identify and mitigate risks. But anyone has said you can make two decisions with one.
Yeah.
And when you have those these two tests, read them. Watch one set of documents. Couldn't see the other one.
And instead,
Bring it together.
and instead of focusing on too many risks, because we have merged it, we have streamlined everything, we'll be having a few risks unlike when we have the two strategic documents. This is a risk, this is a risk. But by the time we streamline them into one, we have minimized what? The risk, and it can be better mitigated. But when it is wani abin dole za ka yi ko mu yanzu kana da problem an ce ma ba kaza gida, then you give them 50,000, say okay, do the best you can, then still is the same thing like this. When there are too many things, you cannot handle them. You can only handle those ones that are severe, that can undermine the implementation. Go. Then lastly, go. Strategic alignment creates pathway for future opportunity. And I quite like this, because when we have carefully aligned and implemented, that has created a pathway for future opportunities, future alignment of other strategic documents. Because fragmentation is always a problem. But when you have one that everyone will now focus on, za ku ga even the level of implementation, the buy-in, and or even the funding. Yanzu me ke faruwa da approvals da ake bada? MDA 1 sun ba da approval, an ba MDA 1 approval, MDA 2 the same thing, MDA 3, and we are still feeding in the same source. What will happen? Amma mutum ɗaya ne fa, in na baka, I know I give you, and then you now continue to work with it. So these are the main point, but these are likely things that, yeah, if these things are done properly, it will lead to this. And you have all said, you have agreed to the insight on the key point. Go. We have discussed them. Any further clarity on this? Na ga wasu na ɗauka hoto, this one da an gama yanzu da za a dropping. In muna da WhatsApp, sa Don't worry, we'll share this immediately after the presentation. Yeah, work. So let's listen and then discuss. Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah. Roadmap. DDR. Yes. I just started an example because the SDP is not only the strategic document in the state. You are not there. I have. Can you go back to where I defined? Go. Yeah. This document, Gasanasa and bracket. We have SIP. We have the only thing that you will now help you to what to determine whether it's a strategic document. I have given this a clue. Yes, this and is it capable of enhancing the standard of living? In the case of sector, I now mentioned that is it capable of achieving the mandate of the sector? Because we know that if the sector achieves its mandate, it's also cumulatively is what we now translate to improving standard of living in the state. So you can go on and ask your question. DDR. Duk ba ka nan ne kaga da zo ba ka nan ne see what we don't want to hear is what you are saying. Because when you are talking about the SDP and you are also bringing the TTR, you are bringing confusion. Because when we ask you, which one are you implementing? And that is the rationale for the alignment. We are trying to bring the two together so that you should forget about the DT. The roadmap is a framework that provides a guide on what intervention, what program do we need to do for us to harness the potentials of DD and also the advantage, get the advantage of the DD. So I don't want you to go there and say, okay, in a DD, in a SIP, SDP, SIP. No. We are trying to see how can we, I don't want to use mainstream, but how can we integrate? You understand? I think integrate is better than when I use mainstream. How can we integrate those initiatives in the roadmap? Kagane, in such a way that as we are implementing the SDP, the SDP has its overall objective. The DD also have its overall objective. So we are combining the two together so that during the implementation, we are pursuing the implementation of the two developmental objectives of the two policy. But we don't want to be mentioning the DDR and DD. No, because it's a state affair. You are making me to use some words that I don't want to confuse some participant here. I just want to also have an understanding. We are bringing the two documents. There are two different things. We cannot, this example for MTEP and budget cannot suit in this. Because each and everyone is a standalone document that they cannot marry together. Because you cannot use MTEP to say, okay, ba za mu yi boje ba mu sa abin da ke cikin boje a MTEP. But we can, on the other side, we can say, okay, abin da ke cikin MTEP shi za mu iya sawa a cikin budget we implementing. Ka gane? So what we want here is that muna da SDP that contains the overall vision and developmental objective of Kaduna State. In that document, it already have some issues of the DDR. But what we have observed is that there are other ones that are critical to achieving the DDR that need to be in the SDP. Is that understood? No. You understand? That is why I said by the time that has perfectly been done, when we are implementing the SDP, we are both pursuing the SDP objective and also the DDR objective, because this is what the DDR, but what one is the state that's supposed to be implemented. So there is no need to have a parallel strategic document pursuing the same developmental objective. In aka samu matsala wani ya zo sai ce okay ni I will prioritize DDR. Other will say I will prioritize SDP. But when we silently combine them together, you understand, you don't have any option to say I prefer SDP than DDR or I prefer DDR than SDP. But what we want them to do is just continue to implement the reform initiative policy document. And by doing that, we are doing both the DT and the state initiative. I don't know whether you understand. Yes. Yeah. And that's why we are saying SDP is a broad policy document. It's supposed to encapsulate all other issues. So that by the time you are doing SDP, the entirety of issue that need to be addressed in the state is being handled, including education, including infrastructure, including DDR, including religious, including governance. Everything is supposed to be brought. Ka gane? From ledger ko to balance sheet. Four pillars. From ka gane yanzu? So when you have the harmonized version, what concerns you is what you focus on. Okay. So we have, based on some research, we made to understand there is a gap analysis in what? In DD. And essentially what caused that gap are these two: limited awareness of demographic dividend potential. I believe prior to today, when ka tambaye shi ma DD din, he may not know. He may know this is democratic dividend, but what are the potentials therein? He may not know. Ko ba haka bane? Because there are a lot and a lot here. Unless you be able to understand the scope of the DD, you cannot be able to what? To talk more on the potential. Muna da yara ga su nan. We have mentioned that su ne wannan dependence ɗin. So potential ɗinsu depend on the investment made by government. In an sa su makaranta, da potential ɗinsu zai fito. In ba a sa su makaranta ba, suna nan a gida sun damu kowa yana da su. Is that not? So these are some of the things that we want to see. These suna da potential. So amma kuma for us to harness this potential, we need to invest. And that is why they focus on 4 pillars. Ko? Na farko ana magana education. Ko? We are talking about magana health. So that all these things are key that we need to provide. Kamar yaron ka ne a gida, if you decided to ignore to take him to school, zai kai ka wani wuri in future. Ko ba haka bane? Why if you ignore? Kuma this is what is currently happening. Ka bar yaro ya fita, zai je jari bola, ya je ya sata, and they will trace back. Kai ne baba, ko ba haka bane? So za ga abin da za ka kashe wani lokaci ma gara ma ka je ka sa. So but it all depends. We cannot harness the potential unless conscious investment by government and also by parents is in place. Because let us not be discussing getting the potential of DD to only this is a government concern. Kuma muna da namu. Kafin yaro je makarantar mai, it has some couple of years to spend with you at home. You need to start building. Kuma all why those things are not working sometimes. Sai muna ganin kamar it's a government problem. Ya laifin gwamnati laifin gwamnati. But if you look deep down, wala mu ma da namu laifin. Da namu laifin. Because there are some little push that you need to do, you are not doing, you are waiting for someone to do it for you. Go? Then secondly, insufficient integration of strategic document. I don't think we have ever think of why do we need to integrate the DD into the STP. That's a demo boss okay, ga roadmap ga STP. Then Allah ya sa za a yi wani abu that is important in the roadmap, sai mu dan waya sai mu. But our focus is on the main word, on the main state policy document, which is state development plan. Amma in dai ka haɗa su, ba da za a yi yanzu misali kana okay, action plan, wannan construction of hanya, wannan asibiti, wannan waye, sai ka zo nan kawai ka tsallake wannan business na titi. Za ka yi shi ne gaba ɗaya, baka ma san lokacin da za ka yi, because when we are outlining the programs and projects, we may not be marking them to say this is for SDP, this is for DD. We are making them available just to say, okay, these are the proposed intervention that we need to do if we want to transform our state into certain level. Go? So irrespective of what state, our focus is the intervention in the it was selected based on the contribution that will be made into what? Into transforming our dear state. Go? So these are the major issues or challenges that provide this gap. So call to action. We need to conduct workshop on this because a lot of people need to understand. Me ma ake ni da DD nan? Me ma ake ni da shi? What do we need to do to harness the potentials? Especially in Kaduna, when we are talking about 50, is it 50? How many percent you say? Is it 53? 53% of the population is there. So, okay, 83 under 40. So you see, if we make the right investment, the potential will naturally come up and we harness the results in the future. But if you allow them, I keep on saying, if you allow these people, this group of population, are doing nothing. Wallahi ga su nan muna gani. Wani lokaci za ka ɗauki wani kawai sai a ce ma, and it's all this. To, gida ma ka fito ka shiga, you understand? There are a lot of, I think we need to start reflecting on what are the causes of this mayhem in our locality. It's because of this. Kowa yana da yaro nan. A child within an age of 13, 15, for girls is 12, 15 to 17. Those are the period. Sai a hankali. Wallahi sai a hankali. I began to learn this when I was asking my wife. I saw a change in my daughter. She is about 13, 12, 13. I always query her. Then her mother said, no, I will handle her. I know what is driving, the driving force is, you understand? So it's the same thing to boys. And at that time, you allow them to do what they want. Shi yasa za ku ga wani lokaci in kuka ji an ce an ji aya you will be thinking, in fact you cannot think how that will happen. So these are the age that we're supposed to contain so many bad things that this group are doing. But we allow them. Some more influence wasu ne fa. Da ya fito ya ce bai zo mu je kawai he will just go. Because he has nowhere to go. Some are not even well fed. Well, some are not well fed. That is why I said we should not be looking up only to the government. We also have our own bit of responsibility that we want to deliver if at all we want to harness the potential of this 53%. And it's increasing. You can see the trajectory of the population. It's up, increasing. So we need to at least put some mechanism in place to ensure that at least. Yes, sir. Yeah. 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 I don't know whether you understand. They are not us when. Go pass through. Mm. After. Yeah. Yeah.
when parents move aside and you ask why did you hear completely different stories. And to put the thing to me for a fact, adults don't understand. Many adults don't want to talk. You are only interested in telling them what they should be thinking, feeling, and doing. You're not interested in hearing from
From
them
them.
what their values are, not children don't want the same things that adults want. It is not the same things that make you happy that make them happy.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing that makes you feel good that makes them feel good. Year-old person is not looking for a good job.
No.
If it's a 30-year-old, what they're looking for at that age is not. But when we're in development settings like this, we're thinking about how do we ensure that they are well employed. There's a disconnect. Why does a 13-year-old now, and if he needs to have a job, how does that shift what he normally wants himself, or what a new 13-year-old should want to be doing?
But, but I think if I can interject, the example I made is not that we are trying to say it is a must for them to have a good job at 13.
Everything you say, I'm saying as but plan for you.
Yeah.
We must understand what makes young, what that age group, what that time of life actually needs, not what adults want them to have. Because each time we do that, we give them what we feel they should have. One, they will not use it. Two, the problem we're trying to solve will not work. And three, why disconnect? So at some point in this process, we need to also start to understand. So I'll give you an example. We always believe child grows till about 14, then adolescent grows
So
to we believe that the brain, the adult brain, finishes development at 26. If you're only 26, your brain is still. We just found out last year that the brain is still developing till 32.
hmm?
So again, on what we're doing here, there's reality, how we define it. There's a reason why when we say we do children having on go to school, children set and they assume they are out. None of them is
Hmm?
don't worry.
Hmm.
When you take a formal contact to a school so that children and then they finish talking and all the children are staring like this and you think you've done something fantastic, have done incredible damage to the children. How?
Ah.
You now see that these are some of the things that an adult might when you see somebody that was rubbish something and because you do analysis think, oh, I should avoid that. You forget that when you were a child, that's not how your mind used to work. And when you bring a person like that to a school, and the person is saying this, all the children are learning is that's not effective. And come on.
Yeah, I think
So the point is, as we go along, let us be mindful that components of the implementation that have to do directly with the children, with the adolescents, with the young people, we need to validate the efficacy of those by
who will validate it?
they will be part of the validation.
Okay.
If you want to know if this intervention that is planned for people between the ages of 14 and 18 will be useful to people between 14 and 18, none of the people in this room can make that. And the longer we spend on the intervention, the more likely that all of us will agree that best thing ever.
Okay, we are all stakeholders to this cause. Go, honestly, that is the beauty of all this engagement. Sometimes you go without, well, this is not the main discussion, but that a statement has triggered him to come up with this. And it has also opened go, our understanding. Left to me, talking about child, we can have an age bracket from say X to X, X to Y, you understand? And then we now package an intervention that will best suit them. And we have that ladder by ladder because we cannot just make a generalized intervention because it will never work because their demand is different. You want to talk?
So, what I just wanted to say, actually, I think
So what is Holy Ghost?
not be on the platform.
Which was how many slides?
So I was about to example
Okay.
and the assumption that we make that children don't know or young people don't know is totally false. Young learners, when telling them, ask them a simple question, what do you think about school? What do you think about school? Somebody even I then asked the ultimate question after all said and done, after all those problems we had, how are they involved in decision making about the kind of school they want to have and about what school administrators are doing, building up the kind of educational system they say that they are never brought into the picture of anything. Whatever complaints they have, they don't think that just their form teacher or anybody solve the problem. So in so many ways, they know what their problems are.
There's no,
Like,
there's no opportunity granted.
but nobody is granting opportunity with processing to say this is what we want to see, this is what we want to have, and they have ideas about that. And so this action plan that we're talking about, like we have state school based community, school based
Space.
that allows for learners to remember. And the one that will
No, no. On a lighter note, I think, yeah. That will be. I think you see that is the beauty of discussion.
maybe to also the opinion. This did not start today. We have actually had meetings with young people. They have seen the content of the roadmap and they have identified that yes, if implemented, it addresses their needs. Now that we are coming to implementation plan, in line with what Victor has said, we must also make sure that as part of the implementation, we give room for them to know what is going on, for them to know their voices.
So what is coming out clearly is that we need to have session with this. We need so Lavia should take note. We can discuss further because you cannot be planning for people that are not there. You can't do. We are assuming we are doing the thinking for them, but we cannot do the thinking for them. Honest, to be honest, you see, kai kuɗi kake kira mu da muke planning ni yana gaya mai na san ma abin da yake bane.
The reason is because
You understand? You look at this dialogue of our children. You understand? I'm looking at this dialogue. What is the knowledge? What is the source of their knowledge? What is the source of their understanding? What is their motivation? That will be superior to what I'm thinking for them. That's my question. No, no, wait.
No. And,
Yes, yes, it's a very allow me to answer.
yeah, wait.
About all these things. Come on, okay, ask me this. And explain to who has studied. You understand? It's like
Just think of
to bring input into this policy. So when you bring it into you understand? What is the knowledge?
hey.
Sorry.
So 1 minute, the other 1 minute, let's stop up.
Let me respond to that. Yes, you are absolutely right, sir. But you're missing the fundamental
So, attendance. Hey, yeah, can you attendance?
for a child that is under 3,
This is a issue.
they don't have a for their children.
Okay.
And what we're planning to do,
Okay.
are we not going to do this?
Can I achieve a group number of that? Will they check one presentation tomorrow?
The primary person we should
Exactly for
is not even their father, it is their mother. So programming around that will focus on women. And if we need input on we have planned for people on leave, we'll bring women in that stage. And we're not asking them now about their needs as just women. We're asking them about the needs of these little creatures that they care for this. Do you understand? We wouldn't just gather here as we are and make that decision, assuming that we understand what's the this thing of that age. Now, from 5 to about 10, they do not have enough life experience to talk about policy. So they're not going to come into a room to discuss policy.
I have a policy actually.
However, when we're looking at policies that affect development, we need to look at how those policies are used there. So, for example, you say children prefer to use red Bible and green Bible. And you say yes because you like Bible. So, no, there has to be some sort of form when you actually you like green before we agree that red Bible or green Bible is what is children. We also need to have people who, like you said, specialize in that. We also need to have those people who understand their context. So children in Kawo, their developmental context is very different from the children in Kafancha. We know people that know the theory, wrote the textbooks, don't know anything about growing up. So when we're having conversations about those children and policies about their development, we not need those children, but we need those people that understand what development in Kafancha is to be. By the time we get to 14, we are now at that where we can sit and articulate on issues that are common. But they need to have life experience at that. So even if they sit here to discuss, we know that it is coming from a place of what the primary aim for me is. So we know how to put that in context. By the time they get to 18, or some women, by the time they have their first child, if they are 15 and they have it automatically done. Now they can sit in this room, whether they have experience say what are the experience higher law
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
and look what for between this team that we will hear from first because in then try with them that I remember I was in that place, I used to write this and they'll tell me, sir, that's not what we do anymore. And then we gain a better understanding of that. That's how this process is run.
This is a conversation entirely for a separate discussion. Yeah, we've gone. We've gone. And Nicholas, when you get back home, please get close to your children, be discussing with them. You will be shocked. You will be shocked on what is coming out. No, so you see, that is why you are not getting the best from them. Yes, yeah, yeah. So, hello, hello, hello. Hello. So we quite appreciate all the discussion. I think everybody learns, and it has also signaled so many things to so many people that they need to take up. Go. So so okay. So let's continue. So these are some of the root cause of misalignment, misalignment of strategic document generally. We've talked about coordination. Because when you are talking about a strategic document, you know it is cross-cutting. It talks about so many stakeholders. And if you want to have a robust strategic document, you need to ensure that there is what? Proper coordination. When it's absent, then there will be misalignment. Go. Then weak leadership. On the side of the agency that is coordinating, they have to be strong. They have to demonstrate that leadership ability to what? To bring all the relevant stakeholders together so that the right thing can be done. Then limited participation. When you are not participating, you will not bring the desire or the right information need to be made into what? Into the strategic document. For that, we have kind of misalignment with the strategic document. Then we have data, inadequate data analysis. When we have not done proper analysis of data, because if there is no proper analysis, whatever result we have is what we are going to use, whether right or wrong. Go back about. Then funding insufficient, insufficient. Uh-huh. So we can say, okay, leave this meeting or reduce this meeting to, and that may not also give us the right uh, result towards to producing a robust strategic document. So these are actionable solutions to all those things. The first one, enhance stakeholders engagement. If you want to make sure that everybody contribute, then you have to enhance. How do you enhance? You have what? Create a forum. Not necessarily meeting. You can provide a mechanism or forum that everybody can participate and provide right information. Go. Then integrate the data-driven strategies. Whatever you want to bring, it should be backed up by what? By the data. Otherwise, we have no basis on which you can now this. Then develop a collaborative framework in such a way that particularly now that everybody is busy or everybody proved to be busy. So you can provide a framework that anywhere you are, if you are interested and committed to doing that thing, that platform will now give you an opportunity to contribute or provide certain information. Go next, next. So this one is for all of us. Haven't said how or haven't said discuss the alignment. We've seen problems. We've seen best ways go to having a good alignment. Then how can we align the two policy documents? How? I leave each all of us. When you go and sleep, probably tomorrow we have a 14 minutes. In the recap, probably is what we now use to uh-huh. So shikenan. So I don't want to. So you can start thinking on this. So then last slide, last, last. In essence, youth are not just beneficiary of the strategic policy, but key partners. So if I'm key, I should be given opportunity to participate right from the what inception of the development through the implementation and what and reporting go. So leveraging the energy creativity, and you know this exists within that age bracket. Energy and creativity go, an innovative spirit of the youth can be transformative force in driving sustainable economic and social development. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you. No question because this is.
Yes. Yes. So
I don't want to interact with
example, we try to break down so that by the time you go back and see question will be just questions and positivity under Musa did every optimistic and insightful presentation. And I think I really like that serious debate uh, was generated during the conversation. But to my mind, I think it's more of a system challenge. Because if we have a bottom approach, people center, then it means any policy, any program, yeah, first needs assessment. And regardless of each grade of the people, because if you don't wear the shoe, you can never know where it is.
yes.
Even though you think you should start doing the person on the foot. I think that is something, even for government, there needs to be reflection. We see why some of these things are like this. When you look at the budget for research in MPAs, you see that it's negligible. And basically, it is research that is supposed to really go and
Right.
put out data, really identify what are the issues in that direction. That age where 17-year-old are multi-billionaires, right? We are emphasizing that majority of them should go and look at it. So the aspiration and what we are planning for the parallel, right? If you give a child your food, places you will enter, you will be shocked that you have such functions in your food.
Yes.
So it tells you like what Dr. has said, their own generation for rely on information gotten from our parents. We rely on the values that our parents gave to us. And we share those values with them. We are limited by it. And that's why we always they can speak on it. But in an era where information has been, children can have different knowledge, different experience, different whatever exposure. There are questions that today a child cannot answer. With the experience, exposure, and all of that, they ask you one question, just look for excuse one, so that daddy will never do from they will give us. So, thank you very much. As and I think this is a big win for us. How we really plan and decide to ensure that it's tailored to the needs of our target stakeholders. Because they are target, then but also stakeholders. So we have one presentation from Emma and planning and budget show us how the M&E system in Kaduna looks like, because we are looking at the shop plan as well as M&E system. Then afterwards, we are supposed to start our, but it's not going to be possible because some people get pounded, yeah, and since their eyes is going low, so what we will do is that we'll just show the groups that they have proposed to uh, for this against and for the needs of the
So, eh,
some style. So mental health.
Umurai. Sama Zaria.
They will move ways of
when that roadmap not only development, health is supposed to come up with a framework on how to interact roadmap. Education has a component in the roadmap. All of them are components in the roadmap. Not only development. Develop a framework and develop a tracker. When you're developing a tracker, make sure you develop a simple tracker with tips and achieve. I now for that when you go to areas go find that insufficient capacity. Very few MIT officers. We only have that's where we collaborate with volunteers. That my it conduct my send if we because I don't practice them. We don't implement them. I just told you, even the roadmap has been in execution for since 2021. Because of inhibition, agile, all that the what do you call it? Public planning issue, they all come from that roadmap. But because of the COVID, now how do we maintain our strategy? I can hear volunteers across 5 volunteers. All we go to upgrade and upgrade of the app to money and not the network issue be upgraded. Even if your where there is no network, you continue to work. When you go to where there is network, with capacity building for MIT ongoing, capacity for MIT. What we want to do now is the MIT of the Ghana budget want to carry MIT so that we just finish our review of our policy. We want to go such way that all the implemented MITs of the state come on city on our operation. So that when we are reporting, we should be reporting the same. And I show you maybe to maybe full presentation. Say the picture of that data. They will do that data. Now go to out of data we try to avoid that. So we want to analyze everything. We want to carry also all the of MI. Carry it together. Just forms. When we get that every on evaluation, we started it. Don't have along the line. Yes, we started. We actually we renovate an office in your we put some there. That's the second place. Why is there? Yes, actually, don't worry. That's phase one. That's phase one. Yes, that's phase one. We're going. But the present now, good to get everyone along because of the importance and the if makes sure the difference between evaluation outcome and sustainability of outcome. That when you sustain outcome, you evaluate after 2 years. But when it is sustained from time, and it's not only one program, monitor when you want to achieve a goal. You monitor for instance, we have the one program, we have wash project, we have project like that around water and sanitation. Lo and behold, after 2 weeks for them, then there was a study conducted by one organization around here we're doing well around water and sanitation. Then 2 months ago, United Nations. No, declared open okay? Open definition. Open definition. Second from that now. But again, why? That's yeah, no. That I think don't. But no, Java 3 was I mean, right now. Evaluation, but you cannot went and agree with that. And that hello, sir. Yeah. Aja.
Sir, that document is not correct. We have gone too far for too long. Like, the correct one is that we not
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
it was wrong.
Your time, sir.
Joe, I'm telling you, it's not the 2 weeks is the of the market. Last week I was home in my village. I went to the backyard and did my education. Not last week. Last week Saturday. Just last week. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. Yes,
Your mind.
Excuse me. I we are saying what we are saying. Now, why did not see? This person said, I have done something, and you said it's not true. What is the source of your own?
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. This conversation, we are taking this.
Okay. See, you know, excuse me.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Everybody is right.
So,
Deputy Director, Deputy Director, we have data by experience. So I think that settles the conversation. So thank you very much. Yes, data by experience. That is our source. All right. All right, all right, all right. So thank you very much for that presentation. Thank you, Deputy Director, for the entire presentation on the M and E's. And one of the essence of this event is to ensure that we are not reinventing the wheel and we are not creating frameworks inside it, but that everything that we are doing here to clearly align integrated with all relevant frameworks that guide planning and budgeting, as well as education and information in Kaduna State. So thank you very much for that. And yes, let's clap for him. Let's clap for him. Um, you people did not accept deputy directors did that. So
No,